Samantha Wright yawned as she adjusted her headset. The night shift on the UEF Dauntless was usually quiet. As communications officer, she spent most of her time monitoring signals from Earth and the colonies. Tonight was her third straight shift, covering for a sick colleague. The soft hum of the ship's engines and the gentle beeping of her console were making it hard to stay awake. The first signal was so faint she almost missed it. A burst of static, then silence. Samantha sat up straight, suddenly alert. She adjusted the frequency, trying to clean up the signal. "This is Proxima Colony calling any UEF ships. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack." Samantha's fingers flew across her console. "This is Lieutenant Wright on the UEF Dauntless. Please identify the nature of the attack." The response came through, broken and distorted. "Unknown. Alien vessels. Heavy casualties." They came without warning. Samantha hit the alarm button. Red lights flashed throughout the ship as she continued to record the message. "They call themselves the Vraxian Dominion," the voice continued. "They said humans are an evolutionary mistake. They're killing everyone." The transmission cut off abruptly. Samantha tried to re-establish contact, but there was only silence from Proxima Colony. Commander Jack Phillips rushed onto the bridge, still pulling on his uniform jacket. His gray eyes were sharp despite being woken from sleep. "Report, Lieutenant," he ordered. "Sir, Proxima Colony is under attack by an alien force identifying themselves as the Vraxian Dominion." Phillips leaned over her console, listening to the recording. His face grew darker with each word. "Send this to Earth Command immediately. Priority Alpha," he said. "And plot a course for Proxima Centauri. Maximum speed. Sir, we're just a patrol ship. If there's a hostile alien fleet..." "Those are our people, Lieutenant. We may be too late to save them, but we need to know what we're facing." 3 days later, the Dauntless arrived at Proxima Centauri B. Where the colony once stood, there was only rubble and ash. The mining facilities were destroyed. The habitation domes were shattered. No life signs registered on their scanners. "My God," whispered Samantha as the images came up on the main screen. Phillips ordered a small team to the surface. They wore full environmental suits as they moved through the ruins. Body cameras transmitted everything back to the ship. "No survivors, sir," reported the team leader. "But we found something strange. The aliens took nothing. No resources, no technology. They just killed everyone and left." "This wasn't about conquest," Phillips said grimly. "It was extermination." As the team prepared to return to the ship, their sensors detected movement. Hidden in a collapsed storage bunker, they found a single survivor, a young engineer named Alan Foster. He was badly injured but alive. Back on the Dauntless, Dr. Lisa Rodriguez treated Alan's wounds while Samantha and Commander Phillips questioned him. "They came without warning," Alan said, his voice weak. "6 ships, bigger than anything I've ever seen. At first we thought they wanted to talk. Our administrator tried to welcome them." He closed his eyes, remembering. "They killed him first. Then they sent down troops and they looked like giant insects walking on 2 legs. "Did they say anything?" Phillips asked. "They said we were an evolutionary mistake, that our existence was an offense to the natural order." Alan's hands trembled. They were so efficient, like they'd done this many times before. Before Alan could say more, the ship's alarms blared. "Unidentified vessels approaching," announced the tactical officer. 3 ships, matching the description of the alien, crafts that attacked the colony. "Battle stations," ordered Phillips. "Lieutenant Wright, try to communicate with them." Samantha opened all channels. "Attention approaching vessels. This is the UEF Dauntless. We seek peaceful communication." The response came immediately, not in words but in action. The alien ships fired, their energy weapons striking the Dauntless's shields. "Evasive maneuvers," Phillips shouted. "Return fire." The Dauntless was a patrol ship, not a warship. Its weapons were limited, its shields designed for protection against space debris, not military assault. But Phillips was a veteran of Earth's unification wars. He knew how to fight against superior forces. "Their ships are bigger but slower," he observed. "Use our maneuverability. Target their weapon systems." The Dauntless danced between the alien vessels, firing precisely at vulnerable points. One of the Vraxian ships lost its main weapon array. Another suffered engine damage. But the Dauntless was taking hits too. A direct blast disabled their port thrusters. Another struck near the medical bay, injuring Dr. Rodriguez and her patient. "We can't win this fight," Phillips admitted. "Prepare for emergency jump. We need to warn Earth." As the Dauntless prepared to flee, Samantha noticed something strange. "Sir, look at their attack pattern. It's repetitive." Phillips studied the tactical display. She was right. The Vraxian ships followed the same movement patterns, fired at the same intervals. There was no adaptation, no creativity in their assault. "They're predictable," he realized. "Lieutenant, can you calculate when the lead ship will fire next?" Samantha studied the data. "In approximately 22 seconds, sir." "Helm on my mark. Full power to the starboard thrusters. Weapons, prepare to fire everything we have at these coordinates." Phillips sent the targeting data. "We'll only get one shot." The Dauntless took another hit, shields failing. Systems across the ship flickered. "Now," Phillips ordered. The ship lurched to one side just as the lead Vraxian vessel fired. The energy blast missed, and the Dauntless launched its full weapons payload at the exact spot Samantha had calculated. The Vraxian ship's shields had been temporarily lowered to fire its main weapon, a pattern they had followed consistently. The Dauntless's missiles struck the exposed hull, causing a chain reaction of explosions. The alien vessel broke apart, debris scattering across space. The other two Vraxian ships immediately changed course, retreating from the battle. "They weren't expecting us to see their pattern," Samantha said in wonder. "That's our advantage," Phillips replied. "They may have better technology, but they lack adaptation." He turned to his communications officer. "Lieutenant, send everything we've learned to Earth Command. The Vraxians may have won the first battle, but this war has just begun." As the damaged Dauntless limped away from Proxima Centauri, Samantha sent the message that would change humanity's future forever. Earth needed to prepare. A powerful enemy had declared humans an evolutionary mistake, and humanity would soon prove just how wrong they were. The news of the Proxima colony attack spread quickly across Earth and its colonies. In just 2 weeks, the United Earth government declared a state of emergency and began preparing for war. Every shipyard in the solar system worked day and night to build new warships. Training centers filled with volunteers eager to defend humanity. Captain Olivia Martinez stood on the bridge of the UEF Thunderbolt, a newly commissioned rapid response cruiser. She was 32 years old with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. The scars on her face told stories of past battles during Earth's unification. Now she faced a different kind of enemy. "All systems ready, Captain," said her first officer, Ben Harris. "The rest of the squadron is in position." Martinez nodded. "The Vraxians have established an outpost on Epsilon Eridani 2. Intelligence reports 8 enemy ships. We have 6. She smiled thinly. "Let's show them what humans can do." The Thunderbolt led a small but fast squadron. Their mission was simple: test Vraxian responses and gather more information about their tactics and technology. They weren't expected to win, just to survive and report back. "Standard approach," Martinez ordered as they dropped out of faster-than-light travel. "Let them see us coming." The Vraxian outpost came into view on their screens. It was like a giant hive, structures built together in perfect symmetry. The alien ships moved to intercept, arranging themselves in a precise formation. "They're doing it again," Harris said. "Same pattern," Commander Phillips reported. "They're forming a perfect attack line." Martinez watched the Vraxian ships with narrow eyes. "They expect us to either run or form our own line to face them. That's what makes sense to them." She tapped her console. "New plan. Split our forces. Taylor and Rodriguez, take your ships around the far side of the moon. Lee and Johnson, swing wide to the right. Harris, you're with me." Her officers acknowledged the orders, though some looked uncertain. Breaking up their small force seemed risky. "Vraxian ships adjusting course," reported her tactical officer. "They're maintaining formation but moving to intercept our main group." They're ignoring the others, Martinez said. They can't imagine why we would split our forces. It doesn't fit their idea of proper battle tactics. The Thunderbolt and Harris's ship, the Valiant, approached the Vraxian line head-on. Enemy weapons fire lit up space between them. The human ship's shields flared as they took hits. Return fire, Martinez ordered calmly. Standard patterns. Make them think we're predictable too. For 3 minutes they exchanged fire with the Vraxians, taking damage but giving it back. Then Martinez smiled. Now, she said. From behind the moon, Taylor and Rodriguez's ships appeared, attacking the rear of the Vraxian formation. At the same time, Lee and Johnson struck from the side. The Vraxian ships suddenly found themselves under attack from 3 directions. They're not reacting, Harris said in surprise. They're still in formation even though it no longer makes sense. Because they don't know how to fight any other way, Martinez replied. Target their communication arrays. Let's see what happens when they can't talk to each other. The human ships fired precisely, destroying the external communication equipment on 3 Vraxian vessels. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The aliens' perfect formation fell apart. 2 ships actually collided with each other, causing significant damage to both. They're completely disorganized, Harris said. It's like they don't know what to do without being told. Martinez leaned forward. Press the advantage. All ships, focus fire on the lead vessel. The 6 human ships concentrated their fire on what appeared to be the command ship. Its shields held for 30 seconds before collapsing. Another minute of sustained fire, and the alien vessel exploded in a ball of green flame. The effect on the remaining Vraxian ships was immediate. They began to retreat in different directions, no longer functioning as a unit. They're running, Harris said, unable to hide his amazement. Martinez nodded. And leaving their outpost defenseless. She opened a channel to all her ships. Good work, everyone. We've learned something valuable today. The Vraxians are dangerous, but they have a fatal flaw. They can't adapt and they can't function well independently. As they approached the abandoned outpost, Martinez led a team to investigate. Inside, they found strange technology and stranger creatures. The Vraxians had left behind workers, insectoid beings that continued their tasks even without guidance. They're like drones, said Dr. Frank Moore, the science officer. Look at how they keep working even though their masters are gone. It's like they don't have individual thoughts. Martinez watched as the worker Vraxians ignored the human presence completely. Take everything we can carry. Every bit of their technology, every piece of data. Earth needs to understand what we're fighting. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Sean Carter met with the United Earth Government Council. He was a tall man with dark skin and gray hair cut short. His uniform was decorated with medals from 20 years of service. The Martinez report confirms what we suspected, he told the 12 council members. The Vraxians are hive-minded. They depend on centralized command. When isolated, they become ineffective. President Elaine Lewis leaned forward. Can we use this against them? Their main invasion fleet is still coming. Our long-range sensors detected hundreds of ships. Carter nodded. Engineer Paul Nelson from the Mars Research Station has developed something called the Firefly system. He activated a display showing tiny metal objects, each the size of a coin. These autonomous drones can attach to Vraxian ships and disrupt their communications. Without orders from their queens or leaders, they won't know what to do. How soon can we deploy these? Asked Defense Minister George Brown. Production has already begun. We'll have enough for our entire fleet within 3 weeks. Intelligence Officer Diane Miller stepped forward. She was younger than most in the room, with short blonde hair and intense blue eyes. There's more, Madam President. Analysis of the Vraxian outpost data shows their entire society is structured in strict hierarchies. They don't have our concept of individual initiative. Meaning? Lewis asked. Meaning our greatest strength is exactly what they don't understand about us, Miller said. Humans adapt. We improvise. We make decisions on the spot. The Vraxians can't comprehend this. They follow patterns and orders, unable to deviate even when those patterns fail. Admiral Carter nodded. We're building more ships, but we'll never match their numbers. We don't need to. We just need to target their command structure and let chaos do the rest. As the council meeting ended, reports came in from the outer colonies. More Vraxian attacks, more human casualties. But now there was also news of human victories. Small, fast ships using unpredictable tactics. Commanders making decisions that confused and frustrated the rigid Vraxian forces. In her quarters that night, Captain Martinez reviewed the battle footage from her encounter. 6 human ships had defeated 8 Vraxian vessels, and the aliens had never adjusted their tactics, not once. They're used to fighting enemies who follow rules, she said to herself. They've never faced humans before. She looked at the star map showing the Vraxian invasion route. Their main fleet would arrive in 1 month. Hundreds of ships against Earth's hastily assembled defenses, but numbers weren't everything. The Vraxians were about to learn a painful lesson about humanity. Sometimes the evolutionary mistake turns out to be evolution's greatest success. Kevin Brown wiped sweat from his forehead as he made final adjustments to the mining laser. Europa Station was never meant to be a military outpost. The large mining facility orbited Jupiter's ice-covered moon, extracting rare minerals from beneath its frozen surface. Now it was about to become a battlefield. "How much longer?" asked Susan Green, his assistant. Her face was tense. Everyone on the station had seen the reports of what happened to Proxima Colony. "Almost done," Kevin said. He stepped back and looked at the massive laser array. Originally designed to cut through Europa's thick ice, it had now been repurposed. Power output is 3 times what it was before. If the Vraxians come here, they'll get a surprise. The warning came sooner than expected. Just 4 hours later, the station's sensors detected 5 Vraxian ships approaching. They moved in their typical perfect formation, clearly expecting no real resistance from a mining station. "All non-essential personnel to the emergency shelters," Kevin ordered over the station's communication system. "Defense teams to your positions." He had no military training. Neither did any of the 300 miners and engineers on Europa Station. But they had something perhaps more valuable: practical problem-solving skills and a deep understanding of their equipment. "They're in range," Susan reported from her console. "Standard approach pattern, just like in the briefings." Kevin nodded. "They think we're defenseless. Let them get closer." The Vraxian ships moved steadily toward the station, weapons charging. They sent no message, made no demands. As with other human outposts, their only goal was extermination. "Now," Kevin said when the lead ship came within 5 kilometers. The modified mining lasers activated, their energy beams slicing through space. The first hit caught the lead Vraxian ship directly on its forward section. The aliens had shields, but they weren't expecting weapons of this power. The beam cut through the shields and into the hull. "Shift aim to the second ship," Kevin ordered. "Susan, activate the secondary arrays." More lasers fired from different parts of the station. The Vraxian ships began evasive maneuvers, but too late. Their formation, so perfect for an attack, made them predictable targets. 2 ships exploded in bright flashes, a third spun out of control, leaking atmosphere. "They're retreating," Susan said, her voice filled with disbelief. Kevin watched the remaining Vraxian ships turn and accelerate, away from Europa. They never expected a mining station to fight back. "Send word to Earth. Tell them what happened here." While Europa Station celebrated its unexpected victory, Dr. Linda Harris was deep in her work at the Lunar Research Facility. A brilliant scientist, with short red hair and intense focus, she led the team studying captured Vraxian technology. "It's beautiful in its way," she told her colleague, Dr. Peter Kim. "Look at the precision, the perfect symmetry in everything they build." They were examining a Vraxian communication device recovered from the outpost Captain Martinez had attacked. It was unlike any human technology, organic components merged with metallic ones in seamless integration. "But there's something missing," Peter said, pointing to the internal components. "Look at this. No electronic warfare capabilities. No protection against signal interference." Linda nodded. "They've never needed it. Every species they've encountered before must have fought conventionally." She leaned closer to the device. They've never faced an enemy that fights dirty. Their research confirmed what others had suspected. The Vraxians were technologically advanced but inflexible. They had no concept of electronic warfare, no defenses against hacking or signal jamming. Their ships communicated constantly with their command vessels, which in turn received orders from their queens. It's their greatest strength and their greatest weakness, Linda explained to Admiral Carter during a secure video conference. Their hive mind allows perfect coordination but cut off that communication, and they can't function effectively, Carter finished. What about their weapons? Their shields? Superior to ours in raw power, Linda admitted. But they follow fixed patterns. They rotate shield frequencies in predictable sequences. They fire weapons at regular intervals. Everything they do is based on mathematical precision, which means we can calculate and counter it, Carter said. Out in deep space, Commander Gregory Jones was already putting this knowledge into practice. His squadron of 12 small, fast ships had been harassing Vraxian supply lines for weeks. They never engaged in direct battle. Instead, they struck quickly and disappeared only to reappear somewhere unexpected. Hit and run, Jones told his pilots. Never be where they expect. Never follow a pattern. His ship, the UEF Swift, was leading 3 others on an attack run against a Vraxian supply convoy. The alien ships were large and heavily armed but slow. To change course. Attack pattern Delta, Jones ordered. Stephen, Maria, target their engines. Alex with me on their communication arrays. The 4 human ships darted between the massive Vraxian transports. They fired precisely at vulnerable points, then changed course before the aliens could lock weapons on them. They're trying to predict our movements, Jones observed as a Vraxian energy beam missed his ship by meters. But they can't. We're not following any pattern they can recognize. In 20 minutes, the human ships disabled 3 Vraxian transports and destroyed 2 escort vessels. None of Jones's ships suffered significant damage. As they retreated to safely, Jones sent a complete battle record back to Earth Command. Admiral Carter shared these successes with the United Earth Government Council, but his expression remained serious. We're winning small battles, but the main Vraxian invasion fleet is still coming, he said. 2 weeks at most before they reach our solar system. Over 1,000 ships, according to long-range scans. President Lewis looked grim. How many ships do we have ready? 300 warships plus defensive platforms around Earth and Mars. We've equipped everything with Firefly disruptors and EMP weapons designed to target their communication systems. Intelligence Officer Miller stepped forward. We have a new asset as well. Lieutenant Ryan Cooper has been testing a stealth ship equipped with quantum transponders. If we can plant these on their command vessels, we can target them with precision strikes regardless of where they hide in their fleet. Carter nodded. Our plan is simple but risky. We let their fleet enter the solar system. We don't engage immediately. Instead, Cooper infiltrates their fleet and marks their command ships. Then we strike those targets simultaneously, throwing their entire force into disarray. And if Cooper fails? Asked Defense Minister Brown. Then we fight conventionally, Carter said. But humans have never been good at fighting conventionally. Our history is full of underdogs winning against superior forces through innovation and adaptation. President Lewis stood. Prepare your forces, Admiral. You have the full resources of Earth behind you. As the meeting ended, Carter looked at the latest intelligence reports. The Vraxian fleet was massive, led by one they called the Grand Hierarch. The aliens were coming to end humanity, confident in their technological superiority and overwhelming numbers. They had no idea what they were facing. Humans didn't follow rules of engagement. Humans didn't stick to expected tactics. Humans saw patterns and broke them. Humans adapted, and soon the Vraxians would learn just how dangerous this evolutionary mistake could be. Lieutenant Ryan Cooper took a deep breath as the UEF Shadow slipped silently through space. His experimental stealth ship was small, just large enough for a crew of 5. Its hull was covered with light-absorbing materials and advanced technology that made it nearly invisible to sensors. Today, that technology would face its greatest test. We're entering the edge of their fleet now, whispered his pilot, Kate Simmons, though there was no need to whisper in space. The tension made everyone speak softly. Through the viewports, Cooper could see the massive Vraxian vessels. They seemed to go on forever, thousands of ships moving in perfect geometric patterns. The main invasion fleet had arrived at the edge of the solar system, just as predicted. "Remember," Cooper told his team, "we just need to place the quantum transponders on their command ships, then we get out. No heroics." The shadow moved slowly between the alien vessels. The Vraxians had no concept of stealth technology. Their sensors were designed to detect ships at great distances, not ones hiding in their midst. "That's the first target," Cooper said, pointing to a large vessel with distinctive markings. Intelligence had identified it as one of their Queen's ships, a critical command node in their hive network. The shadow maneuvered alongside the massive vessel. Cooper and his engineer, Luis Ortiz, put on their spacesuits. "If they detect us now, we're dead," Ortiz said as they prepared to exit the airlock. Cooper nodded. "Just think about all the colonies they've destroyed, all the people they've killed. This is our chance to stop them." The two men stepped into space, using small thrusters on their suits to move toward the Vraxian ship. The alien vessel's hull was smooth and purplish-black, covered in strange symbols. Cooper attached the first quantum transponder to the hull, a small device that would allow human ships to target this vessel with perfect accuracy, regardless of where it tried to hide in the fleet. "One down," Cooper said quietly. "4 more to go." For the next 6 hours, the shadow moved through the Vraxian fleet, approaching each target command ship. Each time, Cooper and Ortiz placed a transponder. Each time, they returned safely to their ship. The Vraxians never noticed them. "Last one placed," Cooper reported as they returned from the 5th command ship. "Let's get out of here before our luck runs out." As the shadow began its careful retreat from the alien fleet, alarms suddenly blared. "They've detected us," Simmons shouted. "Something in their sensor sweep just changed." Cooper rushed to the command console. "Full power to the stealth systems. Change course randomly, don't give them a pattern to follow." The shadow zigzagged through the fleet, its stealth systems straining to hide them. Behind them, several Vraxian ships began to move, breaking their perfect formation. "They know something's here, but they can't pinpoint us," said their sensor, Officer Diana Lee. "Their ships are searching, but they're doing it systematically, grid by grid." Cooper smiled grimly, "Which means they'll be predictable. Plot a course that avoids their search pattern." The shadow slipped through gaps in the Vraxian search pattern. The alien ships continued their methodical sweep, never adapting even when their target escaped them. "We're clear of the fleet," Simmons announced finally. "Setting course for rendezvous with the human United Fleet." Cooper sent the signal that would change the course of the war. Transponders placed. All command ships marked. Operation Firefly is a go. At the edge of Mars orbit, Admiral Sean Carter received Cooper's signal. The human United Fleet was assembled. 300 warships equipped with the latest weapons and technology humanity could produce. They were outnumbered more than 3 to 1 by the approaching Vraxian fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Carter. The command ships have been marked. Prepare to execute Battle Plan Omega on my mark." Throughout the fleet, crews prepared for battle. On the UEF Liberty, Flight Commander Laura Wilson briefed her fighter pilots. "Remember your training," she told them. "The Vraxians will expect us to follow conventional tactics. We won't. Each squadron has different approach vectors. No patterns, no predictability. Hit their communication arrays first, then weapons, then engines." Her pilots nodded. They were young men and women from all parts of Earth and its colonies, brought together by the threat of extinction. "The Vraxians think we're an evolutionary mistake," Wilson continued. "Let's show them why adaptation is the key to survival." On the bridge of the flagship UEF Defender, Admiral Carter watched as the massive Vraxian fleet approached. He had positioned his ships in what appeared to be a standard defensive formation around Mars. The Vraxians would expect this. They would prepare for a conventional battle. "Send the signal to Lieutenant Cooper," Carter ordered. "Activate the transponders." Across the vast emptiness of space, the 5 quantum transponders attached to the Vraxian command ships activated simultaneously. Suddenly, the human United Fleet could see exactly where the critical targets were. even as they hid within the safety of their massive armada. "All ships, execute Battle Plan Omega," Carter ordered. "May God be with us all." The human fleet split apart, breaking their formation in a way that must have seemed chaotic to the Vraxians. Instead of meeting the alien fleet head-on, the human ships attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously. "They're confused," reported Carter's tactical officer. "Their formation is holding, but they're not responding quickly to our approach. Because their queens haven't told them what to do yet," Carter said, "and now they never will." 50 human ships, led by the UEF Thunderbolt under Captain Martinez, targeted the first Vraxian command ship. Their weapons fired simultaneously, guided by the quantum transponder. The alien vessel's shields collapsed under the concentrated firepower. The massive ship exploded in a brilliant flash. At the same moment, 4 other human strike groups hit the remaining command ships. One by one, they destroyed the vessels that coordinated the Vraxian fleet. The effect was immediate and devastating. The perfect Vraxian formation began to break apart. Ships moved in different directions, some firing randomly, others not firing at all. "The Firefly disruptors," Carter ordered. "Now." Small drones launched from the human ships, attaching themselves to Vraxian vessels. The disruptors sent out signals that jammed the aliens' communication network, further isolating ships from each other. "They're in complete disarray," said Carter's executive officer in amazement. "They can't coordinate at all." The human fleet pressed the advantage. Flight Commander Wilson led her fighters through the confused alien vessels, precisely targeting communication arrays and weapon systems. The larger human ships engaged the Vraxian capital ships, which now fought individually instead of as a coordinated force. "This is Grand Hierarch Zaktar," came a transmission from the largest Vraxian vessel. "All ships, reform at coordinates, Delta 9. Protect the Hierarch ship at all costs." "They're trying to regroup," Carter said. "All ships converge on the Hierarch's vessel. Don't let them reorganize." The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. The Vraxian ships, unable to coordinate effectively, were destroyed one by one. The human fleet, though smaller, fought with a flexibility and adaptability that the aliens could not match. Within hours, what had begun as a hopeless defense against overwhelming odds had turned into humanity's greatest victory. The Vraxian invasion fleet, once so terrifying in its size and power, was now scattered and broken. The battle near Mars had left the Vraxian fleet in ruins. Hundreds of alien ships drifted in space, damaged or destroyed. But the fight wasn't over. Grand Hierarch Zaktar's massive command ship, along with 50 remaining vessels, broke away from the main battle. They set course directly for Earth. "They're making a final push," Admiral Carter said as he watched their movement on the tactical display. "They know they've lost, but they want to cause as much damage as possible before the end." The UEF Defender and 20 other human ships pursued the Vraxians. The rest of the fleet remained behind to secure the battlefield and rescue survivors. "All defense platforms around Earth are on high alert," reported Carter's communications officer. "They're ready for the Vraxians, but those alien ships still have enough firepower to cause serious damage." Carter's face was grim. "We need to stop them before they reach Earth. Push our engines to maximum." On the Vraxian command ship, Grand Hierarch Zaktar raged at his subordinates. The massive insectoid alien stood nearly 8 feet tall, its carapace gleaming with metallic implants that connected it directly to the ship's systems. 4 of its 6 limbs gestured wildly as it spoke in its clicking language. "How could inferior creatures defeat us?" it demanded. "We have conquered 17 species before them. We are the pinnacle of evolution." None of the lesser Vraxians dared to answer. Without the queens to guide them, many seemed lost, confused by the breakdown of their hive communication. "If we cannot rule this system, we will destroy its heart," Zaktar declared. "All power to engines and weapons. We will burn their homeworld and erase their mistake of an existence." The Vraxian ships accelerated toward Earth, ignoring the damage they had already sustained. Behind them, the human fleet pushed their own engines beyond safe limits to catch up. "We'll never intercept them before they reach Earth orbit," Carter's executive officer said. Carter studied the tactical display. "We don't need to catch all of them. We just need to reach Zaktar's ship." He opened a secure channel, Captain Nathan Scott. Prepare your boarding team. You're going after the Grand Hierarch. Scott was a veteran of special operations, a man who had fought in the most dangerous conflicts during Earth's unification. He led a team of 30 elite soldiers, all volunteers for what might be a suicide mission. "We're ready, Admiral," Scott replied. "Just get us close enough." As the ships raced toward Earth, the human defense platforms opened fire. Massive energy beams struck the approaching Vraxian vessels, destroying several immediately. The aliens returned fire, their weapons striking Earth's orbital stations and the Moon's defense bases. "Approaching firing range of the Hierarch's ship," reported the Defender's tactical officer. "All weapons target their engines," Carter ordered. "We need to slow them down without destroying the ship. Captain Scott needs to board it." The Defender and 3 other human ships concentrated fire on the massive Vraxian command vessel's propulsion systems. The alien ship's shields flared but couldn't withstand the focused assault. Its engines stuttered and failed. "Now, Scott," Carter said. "While they're disabled." Captain Scott's boarding craft launched from the Defender's bay, accompanied by fighter escorts. They approached the Vraxian command ship from its blind spot, another weakness Dr. Harris had identified in their design. Approaching the hull, Scott reported as his craft maneuvered near the alien vessel. "Look for access points near their damaged engine section." His team attached themselves to the Vraxian hull and cut their way inside using plasma torches. The alien metal yielded slowly, but finally gave way. "We're in," Scott reported, moving toward the command center. Inside the massive ship, Scott's team encountered resistance. Vraxian warriors fought fiercely to protect their hierarch, but without coordinated tactics, they were no match for the human soldiers who adapted to each situation, using the ship's own structure for cover and changing their approach with each engagement. Outside, the battle for Earth continued. The remaining Vraxian ships fought on, but without direction from their leader, their attacks became increasingly disorganized. Earth's defense platforms and the human fleet steadily reduced their numbers. Scott's team fought their way deeper into the alien vessel. They lost 8 soldiers in the fierce fighting but pressed on. "The command center should be through these doors," said his second-in-command, pointing to a massive portal ahead. "Breaching charges," Scott ordered. "Everyone ready? We take the Hierarch alive if possible." The charges blew the doors open and Scott's team stormed into the Vraxian command center. Grand Hierarch Zakatar stood on a raised platform, surrounded by lesser Vraxians. The massive alien turned its compound eyes toward the human intruders. "So the mistake comes to face its correction," Zakatar said, its words translated by devices the humans carried. "It's over," Scott replied, his weapon aimed at the Hierarch. "Your fleet is destroyed. Surrender now." "Vraxians do not surrender," the Grand Hierarch declared. "We are the perfect species. We cannot be defeated by evolutionary accidents like you." "Look around you," Scott said. "Your perfect species never learned to adapt. That's why you've lost." For a moment, the command center was silent. Then Zakatar made a gesture, and the lesser Vraxians attacked. The fighting was brief but intense. When it ended, only the Hierarch remained standing among the aliens. "Surrender," Scott repeated, his weapon never wavering. "Or die here." Perhaps, for the first time in its long life, Grand Hierarch Zikatar faced something it could not understand, defeat at the hands of what it considered an inferior species. With a gesture of its upper limbs that Scott interpreted as resignation, the massive alien lowered itself in submission. "The Hierarch is captured," Scott reported to Admiral Carter. "I repeat, the Vraxian leader is in custody." Throughout the solar system, the remaining Vraxian ships ceased fighting when news of their leader's capture spread. Without command guidance, they simply stopped, waiting for instructions that would never come. 3 days later, Admiral Carter stood before the United Earth Government Council. The battle was over. Earth had survived. "The Vraxian threat has been neutralized," he reported. "Their remaining ships have been contained. Many of their lower-ranking individuals seem lost without their hive connection. Some are even developing individual consciousness for the first time." "And what of this Grand Hierarch?" President Lewis asked. "In custody and cooperating," Carter replied. Dr. Michelle Taylor, our lead xenobiologist, has made a remarkable discovery. The Vraxians conquered 17 other species before encountering humans. Most were enslaved or nearly exterminated. Dr. Taylor stepped forward. She was a slender woman with dark skin and focused eyes. The Vraxians saw themselves as the pinnacle of evolution because of their hive mind and technological advancement. But that same hive mind prevented adaptation and innovation. When they encountered a species that thought differently, us, they couldn't understand or counter our tactics. We've begun contacting the species the Vraxians subjugated, Carter added. Many still have surviving populations. We're offering them freedom and alliance. In the weeks that followed, humanity began the process of rebuilding. The cost had been high. Millions dead in the outer colonies, infrastructure damaged across the solar system. But Earth itself had been spared. On the UEF Dauntless, now repaired and upgraded, Lieutenant Samantha Wright had been promoted to Captain. She stood on the bridge of her ship preparing for a new mission. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call," reported her communications officer. "From the edge of explored space. It's not a language we recognize." Samantha smiled. The signal represented something new, perhaps another species reaching out for help, perhaps new allies. "Set course to investigate," she ordered, "and let Earth know we're responding." As the Dauntless moved away from Earth, Samantha reflected on how quickly everything had changed. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger. The species the Vraxians had called an evolutionary mistake had proven to be the most adaptable life form yet encountered, and now they were known across the stars, not as conquerors like the Vraxians, but as liberators, the species that defeated the undefeatable, the adaptable ones. Whatever awaited them at the source of the distress call, humanity was ready. They had learned their greatest strength was not technology or numbers, but their ability to think differently, to adapt, to overcome. Vraxians had entered the battleground believing in their superiority. Their doom had been immediate.